everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's tournament game. Nope, that's incorrect. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 tournament game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 58. Sometimes my brain doesn't work. I apologize. We got a lot of stuff to get through, so let's jump into this. Kicking things off with some incoming trade. We have received 10 lightless lanterns from Ulm. We paid for these 2 turns ago. Ulm sending with I think 30 earth gems, something like that. So we got those in. We're gonna make use of those immediately, boost up our research rate, and hopefully have some good results from that. We have completed Conjuration 7. We are on our way through Conjuration 6 or Evocation 6, real quick. Pit stopping for primarily Mind Hunt and Wailing Winds. And then we have some site searching. So we've got Voice of Apsu, Arcane Probing, Horror Specs, nothing, nothing, nothing. Arcane Probing, nothing. Arcane Probing, nothing. Oof. Auspex, nothing. Augury, nothing. Well, shit. Okay, so we didn't get anything off of our site searching, so that's unfortunate. We've got some events. We have an unexpected event in the Royal Green. We gained a temple. Unfortunately, this is unprotected area, so we're probably going to lose this temple shortly. But it is what it is. And not listed in these events is this. We got Manco Aklo, the first couple. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. So, suddenly, Manco Aklo, the first couple, appeared at the gates of your fortress and wanted to fight for your cause. Manco Aklo is the mummy bundle of the first Sun King and his Koya, Manco Capac and Mama Aklo. When Manco died, the last of the Harab Seraphs decided to preserve the remains of his body and his mind and performed the first sacred embalming. Mama Aklo, his wife, decided that she would give her life to complete her husband's afterlife. The priests were skeptical, but her devotion and magic skills were well known. They complied, and she was ritually sacrificed and mummified together with Manco. To ascertain that the ritual would succeed, several priests and virgins of the sun were also sacrificed, expected to become advisors and companions to the couple in the afterlife. The result was a remarkable success, perhaps due to Mama Aklo's deep magical understanding. Now, every Malkoi mummification is performed in accordance with steps prescribed by Mama Aklo. Initially, Manco Aklo presided over almost every mummification in the kingdom, but when the practice became ever more popular, the Huron priests took charge to allow the royal mummies to enjoy their afterlife without disturbances. Now, the first couple has returned to lead the kingdom after centuries of silent gatherings and feasts with the dead. Manco Aklo is a Malkoi composed of a half a dozen component mummies and spirits. It has the ability to cast multiple spells at once, and is the most powerful mage priest in the kingdom, and potentially one of the most powerful casters in the entire game. So, events for the turn: 0 negative, 2 positive. We got a tempo, and we got Manco Aklo, the first couple. And we will take a look at Manco Aklo real quick. We went over Manco Aklo in the nation overview, but this is one of the 4 unique heroes that Nazca can get, and is one of, if not, maybe not the strongest caster. I think there are some super combatant chassis that are stronger casters, right? Like Grigori and things like that, that are stronger casters than Manco Aklo from a base. But the thing about Manco Aklo is it is innate spellcaster 3, so it's casting 3 spells a turn. So it'll fuck you up. 25 hit points is fine. It's respectable. It's not the craziest thing on the face of the planet, but it does what it does. Size 6, no real protection. It is undead, but it is carried by living units, so it has that whole issue going on. And it is a mummified. You see all the little heads. It's not just Manco and Aklo, right? It's several, and that's why unlike the Royal Malkois who just have innate spellcaster 2, Manco Aklo has innate spellcaster 3, because it's not just an Inca and a Koya, it's an Inca and a Koya and a whole set of fucking advisors all mummified together, right? So it's really, really cool. It's basically just got everything souped up. It's a little bit better fortune teller. I think it's a little bit better inspirational, blah, 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 and it's a little bit better of a priest, right? Also a little bit better of a death mage. So all the Royal Malquis are base 2s, whereas Munko Aklo has a increased death casting, and that is representative of Mama Aklo's, magical prowess. So really, really cool, and really interesting, because this could be a good Well of Misery caster for us. But that kind of comes with a caveat there, right? Like, if we use Munko Aklo as a Well of Misery caster, we have kind of like a little vice versa situation, right? Like, we could cast Well of Misery with our god, but if we cast Well of Misery with our god, we do have to worry about someone wishing for the death of our god, right? Which we could counteract by doing something like Twiceborn on our god, so there is that. But that means we can't really utilize our god in combat, or we can, but we do so at the risk of losing the Well of Misery, which is the exact same thing that we have here, right? Like, we risk if we Well of Misery with Munko Aklo, we risk not using them in combat, because we risk, the Well of Misery enchantment, blah, 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 blah. And this is a really, really cool unit. I have a habit of being overly protective of my really cool, unique heroes. Multi-heroes, whatever, fuck them, right? But unique heroes, I have a bad habit of being like, oh, well, I only ever get one of these. I don't want to lose it. Let's be really protective and not use it. So it's relatively likely that I will just default to using Munko Aklo as our Well of Misery caster instead of our god, because then I have an excuse to be like, well, I can't send out Munko Aklo, right? We'll lose our Well of Misery. But there is a little bit of an other caveat. The other caveat being that Munko Aklo as a base 4 priest actually calls more Supayas, right? Calls a base of 3 Supayas, and with a Huaka headdress will call 4 Supayas. And, an extra Supaya every turn isn't the end of the world, or isn't like, oh my god, but 20 turns, that's 20 extra Supayas, that could be a big deal. Speaking of which, I don't know why I fucked up, I forgot, I wasn't paying attention. But I did not call Supayas with Munko Aklo this turn. So that's my bad. Anyways, let's go back and take a look at things. Actually, I say we go back and take a look at things. There was nothing else to take a look at. That was it. We had no battles. We saw no battles. We found an Atavi chieftain. That's pretty much it. So, what are we doing this turn? Same thing we were doing last turn. We're continuing to kind of like build up this elite army, right? Trying to kind of like look through. We've got multiple. We've been doing this for I think like 5 or 6 turns now, so we've actually gotten quite a few people over that 100 experience threshold. And there's this little mini game that I play every single turn, where I come in and I look through and I'm like, okay, and I find, right, like, how many people do we have with experience stars over 100, right? And I'm looking, we actually haven't been doing it yet, but I am looking to start pulling out people. I need to send these Supayas over, because I'm not doing a very good job of juggling, right? And we could actually be getting better bang for our buck on hitting that 100 experience, right? Which I think is the ultimate goal. So, but regardless, we're just continuing to build an expertise army as we kind of go. We are moving these units over to pick up a Vile Water. They're still sending this Hydromancer down. It's going to take him a long time to get to Baral. I probably should have put the Boots of Flying on him instead. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're not doing a lot of logistical things this turn. I think next turn, I'm pretty sure Alm is gonna move into Thornwoods, or into Amul. I can't remember which one they said they were planning on moving into. We're gonna lose this temple regardless, so I'm not really fucked off about it. And that's with the idea of fainting into Vanheim lands. Is there anything else to really talk about from that perspective? No, I think we kind of covered everything in the last couple episodes, or the last couple turns, right? Like, we are... Oh, we'll talk more about, like, some of the plans. So, we are building down here. Buildings for the turn. We're very riskily putting down a palisade. All the way down in Mike Marsh. So, and that is very ballsy. This is 4 turns. So this will be 2 turns after completed 2 turns after war begins. And I'm basically just hoping that Vanheim's not gonna probe this far down, right? That most of the action will be in our heartlands and against Ulm and hopefully against Vanheim, right? That we can be a little greedy and put something. And if not, well, we're fucked. We'll see how it goes. So yeah. So that's that. We got a bit of recruitment this turn. We have recruitment, 2 Rununkas, 1 horticulturalist, or horticulturist, not culturalist, 1 hydromancer, 1 Akla, 6 sun guard, nice, and 2 Dinyashis. So let's talk about some of that. Rununkas, I talked a little bit. I think we're doing them down here. I just want some more scouting going on. We've got eyes on the mighty pillars. It gives us very specific details. And on CERN. So that's cool. This is the Throne of Life. I would love that, actually. And then the horticulturalist is actually down here in Baral. And this is kind of weird, but really I'm just looking for kind of like little strange opportunities. This guy's really cheap and he's nature 1. So I'm considering like just throwing a couple of nature gems on him and putting him in a province and doing some swarm casting, right? And that's basically it. Again, I don't think that's going to be super effective against a raid, a Van Heer or a Van Jarl from Vanheim, because I think they have poison resistance on their bless. But it's a very cheap something to do. And even if we don't, I think alternatively, right, like we might not sit him in a province. We might actually put like 2 or 3. Because he's stealthy, right? Like, we might actually put 2 or 3 nature gems on him and go stealth him over into Vanheim lands and start raiding with some swarm casting. A pretty simple thing. And yeah, we have 6 Sun Guard this turn we could actually get because our recruitment has just barely ticked up in Nazca because of the population. So yay, we get 6 Sun Guard now. Woo! I don't know that we're always gonna get 6 Sun Guard, but we'll see. And yeah, moving on, we got Nazcan recruits. We only got 31 Haten Runa this turn. It kind of is what it is. We're basically, I think the population is so low in Miratran that we're kind of burned through most of it, and we're having less and less success capturing new Haten Runa. We have 112 Long Dead this turn. We're continuing to push that up. We've got 9 Supaya and 1 Summon Huaka for 7 Huakas. We could have had, and I don't know why I didn't do this, we could have had 12 Supayas this turn. I just don't, I just forgot to do anything with Monko Aklo. So that is my bad. We have special recruits for the turn. Just the Dustwalkers this turn, actually. And that is because we moved the Pakwo and the Karaka over here. We moved them into Olifa in order to pick up a Vile Water. So let's actually talk about what's going on with most of the ritual casting turn. We have a fair amount of ritual casting this turn. Rituals, we've got Sight Searching rituals, 1 Augury, 2 Auspex, 2 Voice of Apsu, 1 Gnome Lore, 3 Arcane Probing, 2 Haruspecs. Then we have some actual other rituals. We got 1 Eyes of the Condor. We're throwing that at Satala. We have 2 Vile Waters, 1 happening down here in Satrandith and 1 happening over here in Olifa. And then we have a Dispel coming out from our god. So, we are targeting Gift of Health with a, and this hurts really bad. I talked with, I have been talking about, I didn't talk to him this turn because I don't think they really want to talk to me right now. But I had been talking to Jotunheim and Ulm about, about a Dispel, about how much of a Dispel should I do, etc., etc. And we, I just did some math and kind of like, how long was Mother Oak up prior to Gift of Health going up? What is the likelihood that, Van did it as a base cast, right? Like no overcast or like 1 to 5 overcast. What is the likelihood that they put in quite a few gems, tried to keep it up, right? And it's kind of all over the place, right? So I decided to do a 80 cast, right? So that is the 30 for the base astral gems, or 30 for the base dispel, and then a 50 overcast, basically. Because I assumed, or I surmised, I thought if I was Van, I wouldn't want to have my Gift of Health bounced by like a 5 or 10 overcast by someone just fishing, right? Because 40 gems into a Dispel, easy to fish for. Easy peasy to fish for. We get that back in 3 turns, right? But 80 is not. 80 is a commitment. 80 is a Ring of Wizardry, right? So, my assumption, my hope, my god, I hope, because it's really gonna suck if we're, wrong and we don't get the Dispel, but it's also gonna suck if we're wrong and I find out later that, oh no, I put that up with like a 1 gem overcast. You paid 49 more gems than you needed to, right? Either way is gonna suck, but with a 50 overcast, I feel relatively confident. I don't think that Van had more gems at that point to throw into a Gift of Health, right? But I do think that they probably would have tried to put some into it, right? Maybe like a 20 or a 30 overcast or something like that, just to give themselves a little bit of a buffer against fishing Dispels. Because Gift of Health is pretty nice. Gift of Health is a very beneficial enchantment, and it's not cheap, right? So you could do like 5 turns, right? Gets you a Gift of Health off of a Gift of Nature, or not Nature's Bounty, off of Mother's Oak, right? Assuming you have no other, of course you're gonna have. So let's say you have 10 nature gems naturally, so you have 20, so it's 3 turns to do a Gift of Health, right? So you could do a fishing, just a base cast Gift of Health in 3 turns, which I guess actually isn't that big of a commitment. But you could do a 40 cast, right, or something like that, out of 5 turns, right? So, I don't know. It's kind of all over the place. I do know that Vanheim has been using a lot of nature gear, right? So the hope is that they wouldn't have had a massive bank after putting up Mother Oak, right? And after having used so many gems in gear. The hope is that they just didn't put up a very big gift of health, and that we're going to cut it and benefit. I'm assuming that we're going to find out that we are either 100% incorrect, and we're not going to dispel shit, which is really, really going to suck. Or we are going to dispel it, but we're going to find out later on that it was a very low overcast, and we could have dispelled it with basically anything. Both of those are going to suck regardless. But it would be cool if we guessed correctly, and it was like, oh yeah, I actually put that up with a 45 overcast. You did great, right? But we'll see. That is our big maneuver for this turn. We're dispelling Gift of Health. I believe Ulm is pulling the trigger on moving into our territory this turn. So that should be turn 49. I think he's hitting Thornwoods. I can't remember. And then we are getting prepped to hit some territories in this area. And the idea is going to be that Ulm's going to hit the south and the north and the east or northeast. And we're going to hit the east. And fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. The Vile Water, we talked a little bit about last turn. We'll talk about that more next turn, when we actually have some gelatinous cubes to look at, and I start moving Paquos and gelatinous cubes out. But the idea there being is that it's a little combat trick to eat Van Jarls or Van Heers or things like that. You technically, if we take a look at it, right? Technically, you don't have to do a... you don't have to do an enlarge on them, right? They are size 4. They can eat a Van Jarl or a Van Heer out of the gate. But size, if you enlarge them, right, that means that if the Van Heer or the Van Jarl is enlarged, right, like they have a totem on them or something like that, or they get fluffed or anything like that, that you can still eat them because you'll be size 5 versus size 4. Right? But also, the size 5 gelatinous cube just has way more fucking health to survive against a Van Heer or a Van Jarl or a couple of Vans, right, while it's trampling around trying to eat all of them. So it's just a... I think it's worth the nature gem to be like, hey, here's an extra little bit of oomph, right? Because in order to do the whole... hold attack rear, like gift of flight hold attack rear scenario, you have to have that gelatinous cube holding and attacking. So you want to throw something else on it, in theory, right? And we could do just something like a protection buff or something like that. That absolutely would be an option. I just think the enlarge is kind of like the better route there. And a size 5 gelatinous cube can deal with some other pretty interesting things. So we'll see how that goes. No idea. We will probably get slaughtered. It kind of is what it is. Aside from that, we've really got no real movements that matter. We've kind of forgotten about Forgotten Woods as we're kind of closing on this this last kind of like couple turns for the war against Vanheim. So I don't know, right? Like I kind of want to take this. I kind of want to throw a big army at it immediately. But I feel like if we do that, we might prompt an engagement from Pelagia. And then we're just going to get slaughtered by Van. So I'm at this point to where I'm really second guessing myself on all of what we're doing, right? On what we're researching, the engagements we're going into, the preparations that we're making, how greedy we're being versus how not greedy we're being, blah, 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 everything in existence. These last couple turns have been, we're actually approaching turn 60 where I've got a lot of stuff going on at work. So my attention span is kind of from turn 60. it gets a little sketch. I'm trying not to spoil too many things in the future, right? But I remember at this point being highly emotional in the game, right? And very, very like anxious and second guessing myself constantly, and being very, very wishy-washy with all of the different decisions and ideas and everything like that. So I'm just really interested in seeing how all of this turns. Moving on, I was about to end the video, but we still haven't done forging. So we've got some forging happening in a couple of different locations. We got another endless bag of wine. We've got one more thistle mace. We've got an amulet of anti-magic. We've got a storm spool, a copper plate, and a scutautal Volturnus. So, a lot of this stuff is just basic stuff. Endless bag of wine, we just need more for supply reasons. Thistle mace, we just need more for booster reasons. Amulet of anti-magic and onwards is specifically for kitting out someone like a werewolf so that we can round to the Forgotten Woods, right? So that is still very much on our minds. We are still very much looking at what we can potentially do. But I don't know if we're going to pull that trigger prior to fighting Van or not, right? Because I feel like our attention's kind of split at the moment. But yeah, anyways, that is going to be the end of this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.